Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Listen, you all know this is not my usual day to go live or whatnot, but there's something that has been on me, and I need to get you all's feedback. I need this to be a collective conversation, you all. So share, 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 please, and thank you, because I can guarantee you everybody gonna have something to say about it. Okay. Um, the topic is, what is love? What is love? What is love? You all, we hear this word being tossed about. We have felt what we feel love is. We have experienced what we think love is, and all of these things. But what is love actually? You know what I mean? Because I am convinced. You all know, in my trade, I am a therapist. I am a coach, and all of those things. So I do hear quite a bit of different stories, quite a bit of different variations of what love is, by way of love of self, or by way of in relationships, love in family, and all of those things, love in friendships and whatnot. So I hear so many different variations, and yet every single definition seems to be different. There's a different definition for all of it. And here's the thing. Keep in mind, they're sitting with me in therapy, which says that it might be likely that their definition of love, it might be a little bit obscured, it might be a little bit blurred. Okay. So let's talk about what love is. I counsel couples, I counsel individuals regarding the topic of love, and I see this all too often. I truly believe, and this is after I finished my last client last night. They're coming away from a relationship that they found themselves in, and realized that the partner that they chose was not quite healed, so much so that it was bleeding over into their lives, and the partner's unhealed stuff was bleeding over into their lives, because this is something that has become the norm for this particular person, that is, well, for the person that's being released. And so they told me last night, the guy, my client, told me last night that um the person that he's releasing, she desires to have, this love, and desires to be adored, and desires to be this and then the third, and that's what she wants in a partner. And so, and I'm listening, and I'm thinking to myself, because of her actions, and because of what she's gone through, and what she continues to put herself through, and it's ironic to me that she knows and can identify with what type of love she wants. But I then go to ask, if she knows what love is, then why is she accepting everything other than the love that she desires? Why is she allowing certain why has she allowed certain forms of or demonstrations of what others deemed love is? Why has she allowed that in her life, over the course of her life? And so I've come to the conclusion, because I sat with Spirit, and I just really kind of pondered on this, and I kind of meditated on this really, really, really big time. And there is a difference, you all, between saying I love you to someone and living I love you. Okay. There's a difference between saying I love you and living I love you. Okay. Love, cosmically, universally, love is peace. Love is joy. Love is happiness. Love is guidance. Love is support. Um love is affirmation. Love is showing up. Love is presence. Love is air. Love is breath. Love is life. Love is sound. Love is all. Love is the reason why the oxygen is emitting from the trees. Love is the reason why the wind blows. Love is the reason why our heart pumps. Love is omnipresent, okay, omnipotent. It is surrounding all, is all. It is the culmination and the main ingredient of the creation of all. Love is. There's a comic out here, back in the day, the little comics in the comic sections of the book of the newspapers and stuff like that. There was an image that said, "Love is." Love simply is. Love is. But if you notice that is very open ended, right? And as I talk about in our regular live sessions, I talk about life having no meaning until we give it to it, right? Life has no meaning until we give it to it. A $10 bill to me has no meaning until I say this is valuable to me, right? Because to a baby, a $10 bill is nothing. A $10 bill could be just a piece of paper that they can crumble up, chew on, tear up, slobber over. It's just nothing. But to me, when I get older and I put value on that thing and I say how valuable it is to me, that's when it obtains its meaning. So, love is. Love is whatever we say love is to us at the time that we're saying it, at the time that we're seeing it, which is it explains, which explains why we categorize certain things, actions, words, behaviors in love, and we say that we give it the label and the title of love from where we're standing, okay? From where we're sitting, because people don't see a situation for what it is, they see it from where they are. So wherever you are, however you define love from your vantage point, that's what love is going to be, which is why we accept what it is that comes our way, because we have defined love from our vantage point, not from the healed perspective, not from a wholeness perspective, not from an alignment perspective, not from a purposeful perspective, not from the cosmic perspective. We're looking at love. We're defining love by what we are seeing, feeling, hearing at the level that we're at, which is why we continue to accept the behavior. Many times we make the mistake of hearing and receiving the words, but excusing the behavior, because they said they love me, so they said they're sorry, so I've seen actions. In fact, I myself have experienced actions, okay, where I was seeing somebody years ago, and I was seeing somebody, and I'm talking about habitually cheating, habitually lying, right? Habitually. Okay, turn to your neighbor on this good Saturday morning and say, habitually. Habitually, you all. But when I confronted them, hurt, angry, the whole 9 yards, I confronted them. We discussed it. They apologized, and then they sealed it with, I love you. They sealed it with, I love you. Because at that time, that sufficed. That was enough for me. As long as I hear, as long as he says, I love you, surely he does. Forget the fact that right after he says, I love you, he's going to be on his best behavior for the next 2 to 3 weeks, only to go right back to the same behavior. And I confront him again. And he says, I apologize again, only to seal it with another, I love you. Yeah. Many times, you all, we want the relationship or the marriage to work so badly that we receive what we hear and ignore what we experience. Because love is, what is love? What is love? I accepted that behavior as love because of where I was standing and the vantage point that I was looking through. Huh? I did that from where I was, which was a clear evidence that I didn't know what love was, the true meaning of love. I had no acquaintance with it. I had no introduction to it. I had no, not my consciousness. I wasn't aware of what the ingredients of actual love is. Because let me tell you something. Actual love would never put me in the position to have to forgive you anyway. Let's talk about it. See, y'all, some of y'all are not at work right now, so you got the time. You can hear me, right? So you can hear me. It's an inward thing right now. We're talking about inward work. We're talking about from where we're sitting. How do we define love from where we're sitting? What is love from where we're sitting right now, from our vantage point? What is love? Because love would not do that to me in the first place. Love would not have to convince me that it loves me, because the love would be shown in the actions and the behavior and how they show up. Okay, if you say I love you, or if you tell me you love me, then your actions should produce the fruit thereof. If you say you love me, then you should show up for me in the manner at which I need, and you should. Okay. Hey, Khadijah, Miss Khadijah, that's my love, honey. She says absolutely, sis. The true meaning of love, word of Solomon's, and you better know it. You better know it. I had the honor and the pleasure of servicing. You all know I used to own a salon. Actually, a couple of them. I did hair for 25 years. Okay, and I had the honor of servicing Miss Khadijah and her husband and the daughters and all of those things. And I was for years. And unfortunately, her husband, who was the most loving, charming, kind, caring, giving, husband to his wife. He adored the very ground she walked on, in the presence of people and out of the presence of people. This was who he was. He adored his family, his children. He went above and beyond for them as always. He catered down. You understand me? Catered down. He adored. And unfortunately, his life was cut short. But I tell you what, the experience that my good sister and her children experienced, they experienced love. They experienced love in its fullness. They experienced love. So that means, here you all, that means that moving forward, because their life continues, they still yet have life. Moving forward, they can go forward with a true definition of what love is and not accept anything less than what was demonstrated to them when their father and her husband was here. He set the standard and defined and gave meaning to the definition of the word love. So make no mistakes. My wife will know what love is and will know what not to accept from anybody that comes her way, less than what love is. Make no mistakes. My sons and daughters will know what love is and will not accept anything less than what was demonstrated in love, and how we define love. Make no mistakes. So that was the mark that he left on their lives. That was the imprint that he left on their hearts. Never forget what love is. Now that we experience what love is, and now that they have that experience of what love is, they can identify quickly what love is not. Hello? And go the other way. Listen, if you say you love me, then your actions should produce the fruit thereof. If you say you love me, then you should show up for me the way I need and I deserve to be shown up for. If you say you love me, then there should be empathy and reciprocity attached to your love without conversation. See, if it's not happening naturally, then it is a clear sign that that person does not know the definition of love. And furthermore, if you are accepting this form of love, then it's clear that you don't have a true definition of love either. You're taking what they give you. You're taking what they say love is from their vantage point. You know what elevates your vantage point? By you elevating yourself. You elevating your own self, your own heart, your own mind, your own frequency, so that your definition of love can no longer be obscured. It can be aligned and connected to the actual definition of love, which is infinite. 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 The love that flows through our universe every single day, the love that brings the evolution, the love that, again, that makes the rain fall to give us the hydration on this planet, the love that causes the grass to continue to grow, the love that causes the flowers to bloom, the love that causes the trees to release oxygen to us, allowing us to breathe freely. That's love. That's love. Love is not a box of chocolates. Love is not a bouquet of flowers. That's not, those are things. Love is not a thing. Not at all. Not at all. Learning the difference between saying I love you and living I love you can help your heart to heal. Knowing the difference. Because see, over the course of our lives, let's talk about it. Let's go back to childhood. We've had experiences as children. You know, some of us have had parents that were verbally abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, physically abusive, sexually abusive. But because they were mother and father, because they held those titles, this was our introduction to love. Because they have to love us because that's mommy and daddy. So the abuse that I'm taking in, this has to be normal because mommy and daddy would never hurt me. They say they love me. So what I'm receiving here, what I'm experiencing here, it has to be love, right? And so when that child grows up, hello, Jasmine, welcome, honey. You all share, because this is real. When that child grows up, having experienced what that family's love was and the demonstration of that love that they showed by way of abuse. Now, others know that that's abuse, but if this is the only atmosphere that you've known since birth, you don't know that this is abuse. Let's go back to slavery times here. Harriet Tubman herself, when she was asked, you know, congratulated for freeing over hundreds and hundreds of slaves and things like that. Somebody asked her, you know, how does it feel to have freed that many slaves? She says, her response, I would have freed more only if they knew they were slaves. I could have freed more only if they knew that they were slaves. There's a lot of people sitting in environments right now that they think is a loving environment. And they remain there because they think that there's nothing better, because they were programmed to believe and conditioned to believe that this is normal. When there's nothing normal about trauma, there's nothing normal about that, but because they haven't been shown any other thing, they have no other choice but to believe that this that they're experiencing, it has to be love because it's coming from mommy and daddy, right? I know it may hurt. I know it's painful. I know my feelings are hurt. I know my body is bruised, but they love me because they give me a hug after, or they may cry, or they may say, I'm sorry. It has to be love, right? If that's all you know. So if that's all you know from birth, coming into this world as a child, and then you continue to be raised in that toxic environment, still thinking that that's love, then what's going to happen is you're going to grow into a teenager accepting being abused. You're going to go into an adult accepting being abused, and then you're going to come to my office, and we're going to talk about the ramifications of your abuse over the course of your life. Period. Because you defined love from your own vantage point, which was an unhealed vantage point. I tell people who have babies or who desire to have children, I tell them all the time, you need to heal before having children so that your children don't have to heal from having you as a parent. Know what love is. Know what love is. Know what love is, okay? Your heart cannot live on words of affirmation alone. It needs substance to support that. It needs people to show up to support it. It needs love, real actions to show it. And you deserve it. But if you don't go and I become aware, that's the key. Become aware, awareness of what love is and what it is not. See, we've allowed TV and romance novels and rom-coms and R&B and we've allowed this society to define what love is. So we go and we look for what's being ingrained in our minds. And even that is toxic, because the only thing that's going to be on your TV to entertain you, the only forms of dynamics and relationships that's going to be entertaining enough to be on your TV screen are those who are toxic, because it's good for ratings. And for whatever reason, we as a society gravitate towards the toxicity and the things that are entertaining to us, rather things that help our spirits, rather things that open our eyes and raise our frequencies. We would rather look at things like Love and Hip Hop, and we would rather look at things like Real Housewives of Atlanta, or we would rather look at things like, the baddies of the Bad Girls Club, or we would rather look at that stuff because it's entertaining. We would rather figure out how many people that Lori Harvey is dating, or we would rather figure out the toxicity between who had what baby on who, and we following those stories. We're feeding ourselves by way of that right there, because you know why? Because wherever you are, this is law of attraction 101, law of attraction 101. Whatever level of frequency you're on, that's what you're going to gravitate to. And that's what's going to gravitate to you. And you keep asking yourself, why this same type of person keeps coming to me? Why do I find myself in these toxic relationships? Why? Your question that you're asking should be directed to self. Because we emit and we draw to what we emit from us. We are so powerful that we are whole magnets, but we're only attracting on the level that we're on. So if you steadily get the same toxic dynamic, you want to check the common denominator, which is you. You're the only one that has remained the same in all of these toxic relationships. You're the only common denominator. So you want to figure out and pinpoint what the problem is. Turn your attention to yourself. Because I can talk all day about the demonstration of love outside of you to you, from your mate, from your partners, from your family members, from your friends. I can talk about that all day. But we teach people how to love us and how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. by how they see us treating ourselves. So if your definition of love has not increased, or you're looking for outside people to pour that love inside of you, then you're looking in the wrong direction. As above, so below. As within, so without. You need to increase and elevate that love inside of yourself. I know a lot of people nowadays, especially those in the church, they want to say, "Oh no, you shouldn't be trying to don't do that, don't love you, don't do that self-love thing. Everybody want to be on some self-love, self-love, self-love. You supposed to love your neighbor. And you're supposed to love your friends. You're supposed to give to the church. You're supposed to go and do church. How can I love anybody authentically if I don't know what love is for myself? How is it possible for me to be charitable, for me to be a philanthropist and go out here and truly, authentically, and genuinely give love and give support and give charity to somebody else when I have not shown up for myself? I am pouring from an empty cup. This is why people are overwhelmed. Because they're outwardly trying to put this facade on as if they're oh, I'm a great person. I have this. You're trying to externally prove to the world. Meanwhile, when you go home at night, you have tear-soaked pillow stains and on your pillows because you're miserable. You're a broken human being. You're a shell of a person because you have not poured into yourself. You're too busy trying to get the validation from outward instead of pouring it inward. Doing the work for yourself, facing that hard stuff, confronting the things that have caused you pain in the first place. Instead of suppressing them, repressing them, and acting like they don't exist. Out of sight, you all, I'm here to tell you, does not mean out of mind. Because before you know it, whether it happens today, next week, next year, that thing that has hurt you, that trauma that you've experienced is going to show up. And it's going to show up when you least expect it. It's going to show up. You better believe that. Because it has to come up and out. It shouldn't take a seat in your being. It shouldn't sit there any longer than what it should be. You should be awareness. You should be aware of what's deep down in there, and you should build the courage to confront that stuff so that your definition of love can increase. Because some of us, I'm telling you now, it is what it is. I'm about to call it out. Some of y'all are in relationships and have been in relationships excusing foolishness and wanting to say, oh, what? But this is love. Love stays. Love endures. Love. Oh, okay. So they can keep busting you upside your head. They can keep busting your lip. They can keep, calling you out your name. They can keep mentally, verbally abusing you, and you want to stay because love endures. So they can keep doing that stuff. Let me tell you something. Nothing changes unless the individual in the dynamic changes. You can change, you can elevate, but if your partner or your friend or whatever that dynamic, that other person is not doing the same for themselves, where do you think this dynamic is going to go? That is what you call unequally yoked, right there. Not your religious status, not who you serve and worship. No. Where are you inwardly? What's your heart settings? Because it is very possible to grow and expand and enhance collectively, but individually, and you're growing individually, you're enhancing individually, you're raising your vibrations and frequencies individually, you're healing individually as a couple. individually. And as I heal individually, I'm now living from a higher healed self. And the benefits of that I'm going to experience as well as my relationship, and vice versa. So it's very, 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 very real that a couple can enhance and advance and heal collectively, but as individuals. Individually continue to do your work. Some of the problem is in these dynamics and relationships, we lose individual self to become, to merge with somebody else. And that's great. That's cool. I hear you. That's two becoming one. I hear that. But when you do that, you become completely and utterly dependent on the other person to fill your voids. So now it's the other person's responsibility to make you feel good about yourself. It's the other person's responsibility to make you feel appreciated. It's the other person's responsibility to heal your hurts and your pains. That's not their job. Their job is to support your growth, to support your healing. Their job is not to heal you. Your job is to heal you, because a lot of that stuff that you're dealing with will happen way before them. They didn't break you. It's not their job to fix you. The only person that can fix you is you. But you have to be aware that you need to be fixed. Period. And when that awareness comes and you begin your journey as an individual in a unit, in a dynamic, in a relationship, you individually are taking taking the work, doing the work, and taking the steps for yourself. As an individual, as you evolve in your healing, then you're going to release and produce the actions and the fruit thereof. And that marriage and that relationship will be the beneficiary of it. Imagine if both people do the same thing. The marriage and the dynamic of the relationship will be the beneficiary of it. You cannot pour from an empty cup. But see, we got this fallacy. We got this imprint from society of what love is. It's very blurred. It's very obscured. Again, some of the relationships that some people have stayed in for years on years that were not good, not healthy, not supportive, not bonding, not elevating. It just wasn't. But y'all are able to say, well, I my husband, my wife, we've been in this thing for, but y'all don't talk. Ain't nobody spending time. Ain't nobody hugging and loving on each other. Y'all talking crazy to each other. Everything is an argument. You're always defensive. You're always on the offense, on the defense. One in one room, the other in the other room. But y'all sure know how to match outfits and come out and look good together, though. Can't stand each other, can't stand the sound of each other, can't stand the look of each other, but y'all sure know how to coordinate coming out in the public. Y'all sure know how to take a good picture. Very photogenic. Looking like you're happy. Looking like you're in love. Do we know what love is? Or are we just accepting and settling for what we've defined love to be? Because really, the love that we should be experiencing is the love that we were created in. That part. A lot of religions want to, they want to holler, God gonna get you, God gonna do, God gonna do this, and God gonna do that. God is gonna judge you. Let me tell you something. God judges you from how God created you in love. This image of what some people have made God to be, this vengeful, rageful, hateful. Listen, I don't know what God y'all talking about. That's the man's version of God. But the actual Almighty, the I Am, only sees you from how the I am created you. Nothing less. Nothing less. In fact, they're tugging on you to elevate your view of yourself so that you can then see yourself how God sees you and start loving from that place. Start loving you from that place. Start loving each other from that place, because I'm here to tell you all, each one of us are extensions of the I am. We are the human embodiment of the I am. So in me, there's God. In you, there's God. What if we kept that at the forefront of our minds when we dealt with each other, when we speak to each other, when we're around each other, when we, think of each other? What if we saw each other as the I am saw us through the eyes of love? What if we dealt with each other on that tip? What if that's what happens? What if as a married couple, what if I saw my spouse and I looked at them and I saw the God in them and I spoke to the God in them and I addressed them as the embodiment of God? What would that do for how I used to treat them? It would change it completely. It would change it completely. If you say you love me, or if you tell me you love me, then your actions should produce the fruit thereof. But what is love? What is love to you? Because how you're treating me tells me what you think love is. And how I'm accepting your treatment tells me of what I think love is. So we're defining love every day by what we do and by what we accept. Period. And if what we do and what we are accepting and how we're speaking is not in alignment with how the I am does and how the I am speaks and how the I am experiences or demonstrates love to us, then we're off. We're off. If you loved your spouse the way the I am loved you, your spouse wouldn't have to worry about if you tipping outside with somebody tonight. They wouldn't have that question. It would be no doubt in their mind that you're doing exactly what you stated that you were going to be doing. If you loved your spouse like the I am loved you or loves you, then there would be no reason, there would be not even a thought of you telling a lie to your partner. There would be no thought about you mentally, verbally, or physically abusing your partner. It wouldn't even come up in your belly. It wouldn't even be a thought to do it, because my spouse is the human embodiment of the I am of God itself. I wouldn't dare bring myself. I couldn't dare bring myself. I wouldn't dare dishonor the God in her. I wouldn't dare dishonor the God in him. I wouldn't dare. Because if I do that to her, if I do that to him, I'm doing that to God, and I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. Because when I see them, I see God. When they see me, they see God. When I see my neighbor, I see God. When I see my sibling, I see God. When I see my children, I see God. I wouldn't dare speak to my children any other way than I would speak to God. I wouldn't dare treat my children any other way than I would treat God. Because they are the embodiment of God. I wouldn't dare. What is love, y'all? What is love? What is love? Connect with the God in you, and you will know what love is. And it will change how you see others, how you see yourself. Connect with the God in you, and you wouldn't speak destructively to yourself. Connect with the God in you, and insecurities dissipate. Because God don't dwell where insecurities are. God and insecurities should not belong in the same sentence, because there are no insecurities. God is totally secure, and you in God should be secure. God in you should be secure. Because you will see yourself through the eyes of the I am. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing missing. You shouldn't wish to look like this, or wish to be shaped like this, or wish to be this other color, or wish your hair was a different way, or wish your eyes were a different color. Why? Because you were made perfectly. You were made immaculately. You were made brilliantly. But you've allowed society to tell you otherwise. You've taken your eyes off the God in you. You've taken your eyes off the beauty that you are, off the love that is in you. And it made you not love yourself anymore. It made you not be satisfied with what you are and who you are, which is complete, which is perfect, which is how God sees you. You want to define love? Identify with yourself. Identify with the God in you. Identify with that. Become acquainted with that. And you will then know love. You will then know love. If you love me, if you love you, if you love others, live like you love others. Live like you love you. Live like you love me. Period. All this meanness and all this ugliness and all of this killing and abuse and all of this sarcasm and being rude and being dismissive and acting like someone is not important, or acting like this person is more important than this person, and categorizing people and all of this stuff. That's not love, y'all. If we addressed each other by the God that resides in each other, if I look at you and I see me, and you look at me and you see yourself, because we are all of the same one, God. If we did more of that, we would 100% know what love was, without a shadow of a doubt. And we would live out of that knowing. We would demonstrate out of that knowing. What is love, you all? Let that marinate, let that sit, let that permeate in your spirit today. What is love? What is love? Know that definition for yourself. Get to know that definition for yourself. Do that. You deserve to do that. You deserve that happening. The world deserves that happening. You're here breathing and living for a reason. For a reason. It's love that has you here. It's love that has you breathing. It's love that has you doing what it is that you do. It's love that has you with the gifts and the skills and the abilities that you have. Align with love. And aligning with love is aligning with self. Aligning with self is aligning with God. Do that. And I can guarantee you that when you are aware of what love is for real, then you would know what it's not when it shows up in your face, and you would not accept it. Okay? Let that marinate today. Let that be what you meditate on today, over the weekend. Journal about it. Really, really canvas your heart, canvas your inner workings. And jot it down. What is love? What have I accepted love to be over the course of my life? What have I excused and gave it a title of love? What have I forgiven and continually created a pattern of? What have I done? What is love to me? And then ask yourself, if your definition of love is not the definition that you should have, then ask yourself where you went wrong, and then ask yourself, how do we get back there? How do we get back to where we belong? What will it take? And be committed and willing enough, love yourself enough to take the steps to do the work to get you where you need to be in love. All right? You all, I love you. I mean it. There's absolutely positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. You all, go in love, be love, show love, demonstrate love, know love. Love is.